That's a win. Can't get much better than that.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am G. It's great to be Carlton Spook.
We're here for the first time this year following a victory against the dreaded enemy.
What's a victory?
It's a thing when you have more points than the more score, not points, because we often have more points than the opposition. But yeah, a greater total score than the opposition. Spook, what did you think of the victory against the evil Carlton Football Club?
I love a win. I love a win. Look, overall, I think there was a lot of positives to take out of that game. I will start, though, with the one thing that irked me a little bit before we talk positives, and that's, seriously, when you got your foot on the throat of your opponent, reach for the sword and put it through the head. You should have won that game by a lot more.
14 goals.
Yep. It should have been a statement game to a point when you've been down for such a long time. A statement game is just what it takes to get things back up again, to sort of semi-capitulate. That irked me. I mean, we still won, but 24 points.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, as you pointed out, you may need percentage at the end of the year.
I pointed that out before we recorded it.
Yeah. So and also, I mean, the other thing I think you just need to ingrain habits in the team. Do not let up. That's the problem with this team over the last 4 years at least. There's big periods in games where they just let up, and that's where the opposition get back into the match. Fortunately, Carlton's terrible, so we didn't have to worry about that. But surely the team should be learning to, you know what, play 100% of football. Don't let up at any point. Go for the jugular at all times,
especially when your opposition's shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm psychologically, I think like Hannibal Lecter in terms of football. Carlton is down, scar him, hurt him. They will be coming up at some point, so have that over him, have that stranglehold, have that psychological edge that, you know what, we destroyed you, and next time you face us, we'll do it again. You can scar a team, so, you know, it really hurts the development. I know, probably football coaches don't think like that in terms of opposition, but as I said, I have that Hannibal Lecter edge. Let's hurt teams. Teams used to do it to us in the past. I remember North Melbourne did it to us through the late 90s and early 2000s. Brisbane did it to us. You know, there's nothing wrong
in the worst possible way.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with hurting an opponent who might later come back and hurt you.
No, that was the same with that point you made earlier. Is especially when you're a struggling side, that massive percentage boost could be the difference at the end of the season to sneak you up.
If it makes 12 points.
Yeah, no. But yeah, that was probably a disappointing thing. There's a lot of positives though out of this particular game. A lot of young boys seem to be coming on exceptionally well.
Well, I mean, just sort of go back. The game started.
Let's just go back.
Yeah. Carlton kicked 3-2, 0-0, and I was sitting there thinking, this could be a really ugly night. And I felt that familiar dread of, this could be a really ugly night. And then we started to run, we got on top, and we really started to hurt them, you know, with our run all over the ground. And I think that, you know, we criticise Buckley and the coaching brains trust when they haven't done a great job. I went with a Carlton friend, and he was just sitting there shaking his head going, oh, Buckley's out-coaching him, he's out-coaching him. Because he actually changed it up in the forward line.
A number of words you never thought you'd hear.
Yeah, well, you know, we had a smaller forward line. You know, we had Treloar at full forward at one stage, and we later had Hoskin and Elliott there. So we actually went for a smaller forward line. And that's what I'd love to see more of when we play football. I'd love to see Buckley just change it up a bit, throw the opposition off kilter. I mean, plenty of opposition do it to us. And try and actually generate something. And that forward line worked really well in this game. I mean, it might not work again next week, but that's where the onus now falls on the coaching's brain trust to just sort of go, that's not working for us. We could stick with it and hopefully it comes good, or we can change it up. Change it up. You know, it's like go back to the GWS game. You threw Howe at full forward with about a minute left. Too late. You know, you need to do something earlier. If things aren't happening or we're not scoring or something, you need to find that way to the goal. And he did it. He did a great job this time. I just wish he did more of it with his coaching, which his coaching was a lot more innovative.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's where he's going to start leaning a little bit more towards. Hopefully.
Well, he looked like he was going to do that after the Melbourne game last year, the last round. He did change it up. You know, he had Grundy at full forward. He put Cox in the ruck. He moved Darcy Morrison half back when Melbourne was coming back at us. He put Scharenberg up forward. And I was thinking, if he could coach like this all the time, I'd be relatively happy, because it just shows me that he's being proactive rather than just saying, oh, well, I'm just going to go with what I know, because that's always worked so well, which obviously it hasn't.
Well, hopefully he doesn't do it in a manner that's become predictable too, because like the Trelaw move was an echo of last week, that you just want to, when things are going bad, we're just going to make the same positional moves. Hopefully he does keep it random or shake it up, but with obviously intent.
Yeah, but that years ago, I recall with Malthouse, his big change-up used to be press the G coming at full forward. And that was like where you go, well, that's not going to do anything. I just wish, he'd read the flow of the game and say, it's not good to be tall at the moment, let's go small, or let's get some run, or even, we'll talk about it a bit later, but like I even said, throw Howe up forward at some times and put Reed down back, just throw the opposition off. But as you said, there was like a lot of encouraging performances from the younger players.
Muzza,
he's become my favourite player, because he just decides to take the game on, and he's not going to die wondering. Sometimes he'll get caught, sometimes he'll shank it, but at least he's trying to create something. At least he's trying to make something happen. Just reminds us of the Roadrunner in the old Wile E. Coyote cartoons, just beep beep and off he goes. He doesn't care who's in his way. And actually thought that encouraged some of the other players like Langdon to take the game on also. Langdon seems to do quite a bit of running, and he's looked very solid this year, particularly this game. I thought, he looked pretty good.
Scharenberg still keeps to develop nicely. He's starting to show some poise and great decision making. Kicking's good. Short of a meteorite hitting him at training this week, he's really. What we've been waiting to see is starting to come to the fore. Yeah. The other thing is, how many games he played still?
It's only 15 or something.
Yeah, for probably where his game tally is, he's tracking probably very, very, very nicely.
I think that probably has more to do with the fact he's had 9 ACLs and 15 feet injury and all that sort of thing.
That was just last week.
Yeah, and so they're probably like a little bit, and he's probably worried of his body breaking down, but he's really starting to. Yeah. Well, that goes for us and the rest of the Collingwood team. He's really starting to impose himself on games. He's actually starting to show some assertiveness, which is really good. So you think, Gitchy's given another 10-15 games to just have that confidence in his body that he can run, attack, go for these things, and his body's going to hold up. You expect him to go to another level, but it's really nice to actually see him elevate. Callum Brown's another one. Yep. Nice boys.
He was playing like a 100-gamer.
Yeah, nice boys, great hands.
Straight little inside. You'll never die wondering with him at the moment. He just throws himself at everything.
He's not as actually short as I thought he was. I thought he was a lot shorter. He's actually 5'10".
Well, he's short enough to be a stormtrooper.
Yeah. Well, but he's about 5'10", which is actually not as small as I thought he was. I thought he was more like Blair's height.
Oh, I look up to him.
You look up to a lot of people.
That's true.
But he really, to me, just gave me some encouragement for the midfield for the future. To get that guy who's going to be inside and feed the ball out. If you get Wills and Sire to step up also, and again, their bodies have let them down principally over the last couple of years, but if they could actually come up, they'll have a lot more confidence in that midfield in general. Again, that depends on setups. Buckley's got to get those setups right. Last week, sorry, not today, but when we played Carlton and last week, I thought Trelaw started running a lot more. And again, that's probably instigated to an extent by Murray. He's really breaking the game open. Other players are feeling free to run and they're creating stuff, which is how
he's inspiring everything. If Murray's not captain by the end of next week, I'll go he.
Well, it'll be a shock. If he isn't, Josh Thomas, repayment of the faith, 5 goals.
Good work.
5 goals straight. And that's something I think we need to keep in perspective. Although we beat Carlton, it was only by 24 points in the end. We kicked, I think it was 16-4 in the end. Okay, we're not going to kick that straight ever again.
No, at one point I think it was 10-1 that they kicked too, which is just incredible.
It wouldn't have surprised me if next week they actually end up kicking
110,
8-24 or something. I actually recall this game in 91 and 92 against Adelaide over there, where our third quarter was 0-10. And I just think this team's capable of doing something like that. But again, also the other thing too, with Buckley playing that smaller forward line, you had some nice leads from Trelaw and that, so a number of the shots were coming from a lot straighter out rather than kicking on the boundary or kicking from difficult positions under pressure and stuff like that.
I mean, it's amazing to the difference when you kick low, hard and direct to a leading forward.
And that was great. Like, there's a couple of leads. Like, I recall one where Trelaw let out and Pendlebury sprinted away from, I think it was a ball up, but he actually got the advantage, but he ran away. and he saw Treloar lead, and he just did this delicate little drop punt straight at Treloar, unstoppable in terms of the ball went straight out to Treloar. There's no way the defender could get to him. Why can't we do more of that?
It baffles the mind.
I mean, the only thing I think is, a lot of times we just congest the forward line and we just boot, hoping for the best. But, again, you do a little bit of deliberation, a little bit of thought. It goes a long, long way.
I mean, certainly against Carlton, I think you had a lot more time to compose yourself and then plot those shots. It certainly won't be the same case next week, which we'll cover a little bit later on. But it's encouraging to see. I hope they take a lot out of that and then try and do it a little bit more often instead of just the mad bomb. Just doesn't work.
Well, I don't know why it wouldn't work. I mean, they've only been trying it for 4 years. You'd think it would come good soon. The other guy I thought was good was Coxie.
Yep. Started to take a few marks. Good on ya.
He's actually, if you see him on the field, we'll see it right on the fence. So there's a few times he was really close, and you see the size of him compared to some of his. Was
he blocking the light towers?
He was enormous. You think if you get a little bit of muscular definition on this guy, and if he actually starts holding those marks like he did this week,
he stops climbing those buildings with small blonde women.
Yeah, he could be really dangerous. I mean, I still don't think he's a full forward. I think, you were saying Grundy went to half forward at one stage and Cox went in the ruck again. Some innovative coaching. Grundy's mobile enough to do that, and he's also big enough to take a mark. You don't just play to these archetypes of, this guy's big, so he's going to play a key position for me. Especially when you have a number of guys who can part-time in those roles and create some unpredictability. I mean, that was the best thing. Varco was also, I thought, didn't get a lot of the ball, but when he did get it, he was always looking dangerous.
Yeah.
Again, Varco's on my...
Yeah, quite a few assists from memory too.
Yeah. So. Varco's on my... you probably like Daniel Wells there, Ben Reid there.
This is an injury list?
Yeah, and then not just injury list, but a vulnerability list of when they might break down. And then Varco's just a few steps below. Unfortunately, he's had a lot of soft tissue injuries. If you keep him fit, he shows he can be a great weapon. But it's actually pleasing that for a change, for about the first time I actually recall in, Buckley's entire tenure, you look at the signing out, okay, who would we drop? Because we need to fit a few players in now too. It's actually nice to have that conversation. We'll look at that more in the preview this week. Any other thoughts about the Carlton game?
Suck shit. No, look, I mean, I said, I think perspective is the key thing here. It's
Carlton are terrible.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we've got to remember is that we've got some tough games coming up. That's probably the real litmus test. This was just a nice little, well, should have been a shellacking, but it was a nice little victory. In the scheme of winning, always love to win, but you've got to put into perspective how bad that they were.
It's actually interesting that during the game, at half time, went to the bar, shockingly, and after the game...
After Carlton, this was in there?
Yeah. We're talking to some of the Carlton fans, and they're starting to turn on Bolton. Not savagely, but they're starting to wonder, where are we going? And you look at Alan Richardson at St Kilda, the same thing's starting to happen. It's like you've been there for a while. What's happening? So this feeling you get with Buckley, this unease and this sense of impending doom, I guess, it's actually prevalent throughout the league, unless you're someone like Hawthorn where you just stay up forever. But I just found that really interesting because I thought we're not the only ones who are struggling. And I know people will count, Buckley inherited the premiership list and all that sort of stuff. But that was years ago. We're talking about the list as it is now. A lot of people, and media particularly, they're looking at coaches and clubs and saying, when are you going to start producing something that shows us you're actually going somewhere? So it's something interesting, they're already looking at Bolton like that. I mean, Carlton's list is pretty deplorable when you inherited it. It's got a lot of youngsters in there. What was it, 19
first rounders, but there's obviously...
there's a few that have been
seasoned and been average.
Yeah. But I just found it interesting that, that perspective, that magnifying glass is on quite a few other coaches who are struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if it's also on Beveridge to the extent if Bulldogs keep... I mean, they won this weekend, but if they fail to miss the...
You'd have a lot of credits though, I would imagine. But yeah,
I reckon credits probably don't last as long nowadays. Depends who you are. I mean, Clarkson could probably afford a couple of bad years, but someone like Beveridge, who's had one bad year already, if he has another one, I think, the focus will be on him next year to say, you can do this again.
Possibly.
Anyway, any final thoughts about the Carlton game other than suck shit?
No, I'm taking the 4 points and running.
I'd also just point out, great game by Sidey.
Yeah, was it 30 odd disposals?
Yes, 3 goals, a couple of, one really amazing goal. Just seems to have a lot more poise. That he's always had a bit of composure and all that sort of stuff, but he seems to have elevated to another level. I recall Buckley saying at one of the Copeland trophies that the only thing standing between side bottom and becoming elite was side bottom, and just realising he could become that player. He's really, I think, stepped up this year. I mean, hopefully he keeps going, because the way our list is, and after we looked at the list analysis last week, they really need a couple of players at least to just sort of jump up and give them star material from sources they didn't expect. And you go back to the 2010 flag, a nucleus of that team was Dane Swan. No one expected him to become the player he did when we first picked him with pick whatever it was, a really low pick, and then he just hung around the reserves for a while. Became this superstar. Ben Johnson became a really, really good rebounding halfback flanker. You give a pick 2 for Dale Thomas and pick 5 for Scott Pendlebury. You expect those guys to be stars at that level. You really need to find some gems in these lower picks. So actually hoping that a couple of these other guys will really jump up and take ownership of the team.
Yeah, look, I mean, I hope they take a lot out of this. Remember that victory feeling and bring it next week.
Yep. So when we come back, we'll be looking at Media Mephitic. Welcome back. Time for Media Mephitic, where we look at Collingwood in the media. We're going to start with the steel side bottom tackle of Zach Fisher. This instigated a lot of chatter amongst the media.
What a shock.
Yeah. I saw a really good conversation, I think it was on Fox, where Jason Dunstan was just basically saying he'd have to be very, very worried. Nick Rewalt was saying the way they're paying it, he'll be fine. If they paid it just on intent rather than outcome, that he wasn't KO'd, Zach Fisher wasn't KO'd. The side bottom will probably cop it, but as it is, he was okay. It's actually good to see Rewalt be a really reasoned voice there instead of some of the hysteria. But in terms of the king of hysteria, I'll just read out a tweet from a media person, and everyone can guess who it is. Agree with David King about sling tackle. 2,000 fine, so side bottom found guilty, but not worth suspension because player not KO'd. What if he gets delayed concussion?
What if he gets appendicitis in 3 years' time? What if he slips on a banana peel after training on the weekend? Where do you stop?
I don't know. That's the thing that annoys me about this, and I touched upon this last week when I talked about the lack of hysteria surrounding Sicily kneeing Selwood in the head. But when Taylor Adams,
it was Puopolo's turn this week.
Yeah, and when Taylor Adams did it to Westhoff a few years ago, it was just the most overhyped thing ever. Last year when we played North, that second time at Etihad, Jack Zeedle slung tackled Adam Treloar into the ground. Treloar got up, he was very, very shaky. Not a fucking word was said about that. Nothing. Especially from this guy, who's the media personality who's suddenly deciding that, side bottom should get the death penalty.
Not Robbo.
Oh no, not Robbo. No.
It couldn't be Robbo.
Yeah.
It was a Robbo, really.
It was Robbo.
What a guess.
It shocks me because the man's a wonderful human being. He's a wonderful humanitarian.
He is. He's got a track record up there.
I mean, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Robbo, he's very, very close. No, fucking seriously. Where was this hysteria last year? It's seriously getting so sickening listening and watching him pot-shot Collingwood players. When does this end? I mean, last year, that bullshit with Fasolo. Back at training must be good drugs.
Yeah, that was extremely disappointing and staggering in the same breath.
And I heard his apology on SEN later, which
was heartfelt.
The most disingenuous apology, and from someone who's gone through depression and that, generally in 2011, 2002, 2003. No, actually, someone who's gone through this seriously, to listen to his bullshit apology, which meant nothing, and for the media just to go, no, it's fine. He has said a number of stupid things, and he's not held accountable. It just totally shocks me. It's like, this guy's the chief writer for the Herald Sun. He's got gigs on Foxtel.
Yep.
I used to have one on SEN. it's like you just keep coming out with this. It just seriously gets to the fucking point where, you know what? You're probably sitting there thinking, oh, I'm clever, I'll stick this shot into Collingwood. No one will see, you know, what I'm doing. Fucking everyone sees it. You have no credibility with anyone I know, and I know quite a few people, and I also know a few journalists, and they aren't really, you know, very flattered by you. So actually, I'm just going to jump to something else. Let me see if you can guess who said this. This is not Collingwood related, it's just a comment. Tom Lynch is the white Buddy Franklin.
I actually don't feel comfortable guessing. I haven't heard that one, so...
It was Robbo again. Why isn't he just another Buddy Franklin? Why is there this delineation of colour? You constantly say this shit and no one holds you accountable. It's seriously amazing.
Did he say that this week?
Yeah, he said it last week on... what's that show he's on? 360?
Oh, yeah.
I love Jared Whiteley. I wish they'd get him someone credible next to him.
Maybe Jared Whiteley.
Donald Trump, maybe.
Maybe a black Jared Whiteley. That'd keep Robbo going for a while, surely.
Just seriously ridiculous. Good article about Sam Murray out, where he talked about he was surprised about the ferocity of attacks on his trade to Collingwood. Said, you know, nobody had even seen me play, but they just went on the currency of what was paid to get me over. And he said he's out silencing the critics the best way he knows how, and he's now the NAB Rising Star for this week.
Congratulations, Muzzer.
Yep.
But I mean, that's good. I mean, it really, at this stage, it's looking like we're miles up on that particular trade. So depending on where we finish and what that second rounder is, at the moment I'm a lot happier with Muzzer than obviously I don't know what you're going to get, but I'm very happy with him at the moment. I think he's an exceptionally good-looking potential talent.
I don't think it works out though when people sort of go, oh, you go pick 25 for example, and now you got Nat 5 as an example, just totally hypothetical. Look what you gave up for this guy. It's like, well, if Collingwood had that same pick, there's no guarantee they would have picked up the same player, or if they got that same player, whether he would have had the same development in their system. So I always find that like a really skewed comparison, just to say like for, you know, whatever you traded away. It doesn't work. Like Murray for me, right now, is the most important player at Collingwood, because he is just generating so much run, he's breaking lines open.
Exactly what we needed.
Yep, and we've really lacked that. You know, we actually had a number of players like Heath Shaw and Horatia Lumumba, I hope I pronounced that correctly, you know, Alan Tuvey, they all did that from out of defence. Nick Maxwell was, you know, he was actually pretty good at doing that also. He wasn't like pace or anything, but he, geez, he was the best scooper-upper of half volleys I've ever seen. A
scooper-upper?
Yep.
Is there a stat for that? Scooper-uppering?
It should be. And Ben Reid, you know, a great counter-attack of his kicking. That's something this defence has really lacked. Murray's doing it, it's encouraged Langdon to do it. It just seems to me that, you know, this guy is a catalyst for this side playing well. And, you know, once he gets running, once he breaks a few lines, it just totally opens everything up down the field. And if you look at when we've struggled in the past, often we've stagnated. Players are just kicking the ball around back and forth, back and forth. They've lacked that guy to just say, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna take it on. And the bad thing is, you know, they kick it back and forth so often, someone eventually just ruins it. You can just minimise the possession, go for the risk earlier. So, you know, well done to Sam Murray. My favourite player at Collingwood at the moment. AFL Pies, the VFL Pies, had a narrow win, in case you haven't heard, against the Melbourne Blues.
Sad to see them just struggling to get across the line on that one.
Yep. 31-15, 201 to the Blues, 11-5, 71. So it's lucky the Blues actually kicked accurately in that game. This is actually going to kick up a few players to consideration, which we'll talk about a bit later. But it'll actually be interesting to see how they follow it up too. How will they actually do coming up after a big win? Because traditionally with Collingwood, you get a good win and you get a bad performance, and you know, get a bad performance and you suddenly get a really good performance. So I'd actually be interested if they can actually keep the bar. Obviously they're not going to kick 200 points every week.
Why not?
Well, they should. That's a good point. Yeah, but they should, you know, hopefully they keep the bar very at a competitive level where you never sort of look at it and going, oh geez, they're just playing shit. Obviously they're always going to be subject to who's in that side, who's come up into the seniors and all that sort of stuff, but just hope they keep their form up there, because if they've got good winning form, provides better options for the senior team, and it also just creates a good culture.
And winning culture.
Jeez, that's a new thing for Colin. And finally, Chloe Malloy, who we mentioned last week, she has won the AFLW Best and Fairest at Collingwood also. So well done, Chloe.
Well done.
Great to see someone, a Collingwood player, taking the competition by storm.
Good work.
Yep. So that's it for Media Mephitic. We're back with the Collingwood Adelaide preview.
I can't believe that white Buddy Franklin line.
So we're playing Adelaide this week, over in Adelaide Friday night.
Yep.
Spook, your thoughts about this game?
Jenkins and Walker scare the living bejesus out of me.
I think you should probably throw in Eddie Betts there.
Is he still good?
I mean, he had a goodish game last week, but you know, the beautiful thing about Collingwood for players is that's where they go to find form.
Yeah, no, stopping the two big boys is going to be a challenge. Obviously, Dunn will go to one, but who goes to number two?
I would actually mix it up. I'd actually start Howard forward and play Reid, also down back.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to try Reid.
And just simply, you know, because I'd like Don Pike to be sitting there just thinking, well, did not expect that. And just change it up a bit again to create some unpredictability. You can always stop it back if it's not working. I'm always a little bit surprised. I mean, Alistair Clarkson did it to a small extent with, you know, all these tools like Gunson and that. Surprised that, you know, when you Klaus talking about Swingman, you know, you have Justin Westhoff and that, why you don't create a rotation of key positioners who can go forward and back and just mix it up and always keep the opposition off guard. Now, obviously, if you've got like a Buddy Franklin, a Black Tom Lynch to people, but if you've got like a Buddy Franklin, you wouldn't move him because he's just too good. You're going to lose too much if you move him. But when you've got these other players who are, you know, they're good, they're very solid, but you're not going to get, you know, your 10 goals out of them or 8 goals out of them, whatever. Just mix it up a little bit. Just shock everyone. So I'd actually like to see them do that. Adelaide's totally different entity at home.
At home, certainly are.
Traditionally, we have matched up well against them. From memory, last year we led by 50 points and just let that one slip into a draw.
Yeah, just just a little bit.
And I think the first game we played them, they kicked away to about a 5-goal lead, and then we just spent the rest of the game trying to catch up. And we kept that margin. Now I remember listening to Buckley talk after the game, or a couple of days later on SEN, and he just sort of said that he goes, Adelaide actually, most teams when they're coming out of defence, they'll kick to the fat of the ground where it's all open, but Adelaide actually come back in the narrow side. And he goes, like, we knew they were going to do it, but the players just kept reacting the wrong way and going to the fat of the ground, which is bizarre when you think about it. So I just hope if there's any strategic requirements that, you know, maybe we're actually on top of them from the opening bounce. I actually, you know, like I said, I think we match up not that bad against Adelaide. It really is going to depend on that Jenkins and Walker and our efficiency in front of goal. Because if Jenkins loves us for some reason.
Field days.
You know, you got that McGovern down there also. But if that Jenkins and Walker just have a field day, then you're really going to need players in our forward line to have an equal field day. So I just, you know, can you hope Josh Thomas kick another 5? Probably not. You're going to have to hope that someone stands up and fills in that vacuum.
Well, you had Elliot, Fass, and DeGoey apparently doing exceptionally well. Well, maybe not so much Fass, but you know, not that bad a thing. But the other two apparently did exceptionally well in the VFL match. So you think that they'd probably be the most likely inclusions. But who would you make way for?
That'll depend on fitness. I mean, I don't think Elliot's played a lot this year. Fasolo's been in the reserves for a bit. The guy played at the start of the year, the intra-club match. I don't think he played either the AFL practice matches, but I think he was in the reserves match when he did his hammy.
I don't think they'll really second guess keeping him out though.
You'd hope not. I think Tom Phillips would probably be the expendable one. I like Tom. He knows where to get the ball. He knows where to run. That's the problem. Is the possession or his disposal is a little bit scrappy, a little bit rushed. Hopefully that will change with time as he gains composure and experience. The other one probably might be a little bit vulnerable is Ben Crocker. I like Crocker, and I'm not saying this in derogatory fashion. He reminds me of Stephen Mill, the way he plays. He's like a tough little nut. Knows where to run to get the ball, will create opportunities. He's not going to have the flashy skills of a Leon Davis or the high marking of a Jamie Elliott.
He had a great little evasive moment though on the boundary line this week. But
he'll do that. Like he knows how to do enough. Now, whether how far he can develop that's a different thing. But I'd say at the moment they're the two who are vulnerable.
No, I agree.
I don't see anyone else on that side.
Unless, of course, there's some sort of niggling complaint or something that comes... Oh, yeah, well, we could call him Ben Reid. But yeah, in this particular instance, I hope it's not Ben Reid. But yeah, unless someone's pulled up sore, that could be. Or would you rest anyone? Probably not against. It's probably an important game. Well, probably it is an important game.
I mean, this is going to be one problem. You're going to play on Friday, then you're going to play on Wednesday. Then is it this Wednesday? Anzac Day? No, it's 2 weeks from now. So they actually got like 2 weeks to actually recover, and then that Anzac Day to Richmond game, where it's going to be a 4-day turnover, you're actually going to have to manage players in and out. I can't see guys like Ben Reid,
maybe after a couple of days,
maybe Varco playing 2 games within 5 days. But surely if anyone's a little bit sore now, you just say, look, you're going to get a 10-day break after this. Just go for it. We have concern is if they're so sore that they actually break down. But the one thing I think with the Collingwood team is, I know players have to be managed. I mean, they do it in a lot of sports now. You look at the Australian cricket team, they manage bowlers in and out and all that sort of stuff. But surely you should want, I don't know, of those 22 players who take the field, surely you'd want about 16 guys who are always going to be there every week. And the ones who are being rotated out aren't the key players like Reid and all that sort of stuff. They're the guys like your Crockers, your Blairs previously and all that sort of stuff, who aren't mainstay or shouldn't be mainstays of the team at this point of their career. Crocker might become eventually, but they're the guys you think you could take out and put someone else in. Reid, if we're to have any serious finals chance, he needs to stand up, but like, a little bit concerned that that's actually going to happen.
He's hoping.
But anyway, in terms of Adelaide, what's your tip?
Look, I don't think we'll win. I think we'll push the close. So we'll probably win by 10 goals. I'd like to see us be exceptionally competitive, especially over there. If they go down fighting, that would be good. If they capitulate and lose by 10 goals, I won't be happy.
So if they go down fighting, let's say like a GWS game or like these close games we lose because we just don't have the class to finish it, that's going to drive me nuts if that's the case. If we go down, we're outplayed and we've had our chances and they've just outplayed, they've played better, then fine. But I seriously don't want to lose another one just because we don't know how to close out a game.
Yeah.
I'm bizarrely a lot more confident about this one than I was facing Carlton. I'll still tip Adelaide like 14 points, but I actually feel like Collingwood's probably got a sneaking look into this game and they could steal it. I mean, that's what you hope. We were talking about this before we started filming. At the moment, you look at the competition. Who's a standout team? Some of the teams you thought would be standouts, like Geelong, they're 1 and 2. Now Ablett out for whatever it is, a month or whatever it is. Essendon, who recruited big, you thought they were going to be a standout team. They're 1 and 2, and they really a little bit lucky in that first game. Melbourne, who was like everyone's, but a lot of people's flag tip. They're just sort of going along at the moment. That's not to say one of these teams will not break out in the second half of the year, and then Collingwood did that in 2010. We started slow and then we built up. But just at the moment, there's no one really standing out. And Adelaide's the same. They're not really standing out in such a magnificent way. And I know they played well against Richmond, but you'd think they would have set themselves for like a little bit of revenge. You're never going to get that back. That flag's gone. But just to sort of show, hey, you got us, but we can actually take it after you.
Yeah. I think if we were playing at the G, I'd be a little bit more confident. But over there, it's going to be an arse. But I hope they rise to the challenge.
I'd be a lot more confident if we were playing at the G and I were playing at Adelaide Oval.
That'd even be better.
Yeah. Alright, so any last thoughts on that game?
Go out there and win.
You liked it last week, didn't you?
Mm.
Yeah. Go out and win one for the Gipper.
That's it.
We'll be back with the question of the week. So we are back with the question of the week. Last week's question was, where would you play Darcy Moore? Obviously this is assuming he's fit. Spook, where would you play Darcy Moore? Ruck, forward or defence?
Forward.
Or would you do something ridiculous like playing on the wing?
Did I say forward?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think, and I feel for Darcy because he must sit back and watch some of the delivery from that game on Friday night and think, why can't you do that to me? I mean, I really don't sit there and totally follow him around, but I'm not sure how much he actually leads into space or whether he's forced to drop back and watch the ball sail over his head or have it bounce on the top of his fingers. But certainly I think he's a forward, and he just needs that cultivation to keep growing into that forward role. I mean, defence, he was good against Melbourne. Not so great against in round 1 against the Hawks. I'd be leaning more towards forward.
I definitely don't think he's a defender. I look at him more like his dad. His dad played forward early in his career. He had Ben Thompson there rucking, but principally was a ruckman. I actually think he's a ruckman.
Okay.
I love the way he taps the ball. He'll follow up his own tap. He's so agile. Unfortunately, you've got 2 guys there who are really good ruckman. Grundy is a really, the premier young ruckman in the league, and actually Cox is a great tap ruckman.
Could always be All-Australian.
Yeah.
This shit.
So I think Darcy's good enough to play forward, but when he comes back, work out a way to make this work. My biggest fear with Darcy, not Darcy by himself, but I don't know if you can play Darcy, Coxie and Grundy in the same team.
No, not up forward, no.
And, but I don't know if you can just play all of them in the same team regardless.
One of them's going to be left wondering.
Yeah, you can play more down back and all that, and that sort of gets you away from the 4 line, should speed you up and all that sort of stuff. You have 3 ruck-sized guys playing, and then you've got to add, and this is not a slight, but you add Ben Reid in there, who's not the most agile now at this stage of his career. So you have 4 guys, like, Grundy's pretty agile for his size and all that, and Moore's quick for his size, but that's the qualifier. He's for their size. You wouldn't put him up there against Cyril Rioli or anything like that and expect him to outrun him. So that's actually going to be a bit bigger query. When he comes back, can you actually make those 3 work in the same side on a consistent basis? I'm sure it'll happen every now and again, but on a consistent basis.
See, the other fly in the ointment too is once McClarty bursts onto the scene, that's going to shake everything up one more time. I mean, he's been playing predominantly defence, so that could be our answer down back, and then they could release Dars to get back to being what he hopefully will be exceptionally good at.
Well, I'm hoping McClarty really comes up, because they recruited the one key position in the last 28 years, which is Darcy Moore, and then they threw a few Hail Marys, and McClarty was probably the earliest pick for quite a while. More notwithstanding, was a father-son, but since Brown and Reid, who were like 8 and 10. And then they had like the Jonathan Marshes and all, Frost and all that, who were rookie picks or late picks. So McClarty was like for Collingwood a relatively early pick. I think it was in the 30s or something. So I'm really hoping he comes good. Our question for next week: what's a passing mark for Nathan Buckley come the bye? So it would have played 12 games by that stage. What is acceptable for Buckley as coach of Collingwood? Just to look at our fixture, we play Adelaide Friday night, Essendon Anzac Day, Richmond, Brisbane away, Geelong, St Kilda, Bulldogs, Fremantle here, and then Melbourne, and then it's the bye. So what would be a passing mark for Buckley? Or, where would you think, geez, that's a club in an uncomfortable position?
You have an opinion on that? Feel free to use the comment section down below. And,
or the Facebook group.
Share your thoughts, that'd be awesome.
Subscribe there.
Over there.
Yep. If you like us, here. If you don't like us, and there's a couple of people out there who don't like it, we will find you. We will find you. Yep. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to see us talk about, leave it in our Facebook group or in the comment section. Anyway, that's it from us. Great win by the Pies. Hopefully there's more to come. Go Pies!